Haul the spaceships to Davenport, prepare for divanarchy, and interface with a couch in space. Every now and then, if the stars literally align, we can bring you a feature on Space Couch called Temporal Vortex, where we actually broadcast from our present your past into our future, because that's just the Space Couch difference. Speaking of the Space Couch difference, we are, so far as I know, the only podcast / interview show to be sponsored by Tiger Squawk Records, who's also kind of our parent company, so I hope they don't sponsor anybody else. But you want to check out the new album from Italy. Oh, hi, Space Dog. I missed you, too. And, new Amalgamated Cadaver. That's me, and definitely from Nauseon. Mighty Wings, Cheap Trick, covered by Industrial by Space Dog. Stellar from Duckbag. TM, new Stigmata with Screwdrivers. It's really nuts, man. Speaking of nuts, new Sanity Checks. That's me and Planet Damage out of Budapest. 3133, I think that's pronounced L, from Pill Brigade. Real cyberpunk. Circles is just blowing up with a whole bunch of new singles. The Gossicles is remixed by Science Fiction, very Witch House. Epitaph, as covered by Batavia. And you also want to check out Routine Z, the new single from Duckbag TM. And coming out Friday, our future is the Tiger Squawk Records Mysticon sampler. It's 28 tracks or something like that, free. It's gonna just blow your mind apart. Speaking of blowing apart your mind, I am now that I'm a few episodes into this journey through space and also the emotional landscape of the interview game. I am very excited to talk to our guest here because he's sort of the OG of the whole thing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Nagy of DiscoveringBands.com. What's up, buddy? How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, as long as we can bounce the signal off of Jupiter there to you on terra firma. Like I figured, let's get an episode in, and I'm happy I was able to do so with you because I discoveringbands.com. What I know as first came into my world line is interviews with Michael Nagy. It's a bit banal, but I want to know the origin story. How did the first kernel of this idea enter your brain?
Well, it kind of all started off by accident. I was living out in Kansas, and I was working in a radio studio.
Oh, nice.
I was doing photography for the studio, KJAG Radio, and because I do photography as well. And one day, one of the interviewers didn't show up, and the host, James Lowe, was like, "Hey, you want to interview?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Mm-hmm. So then I interviewed some local artists, and it went well. And then he invited me back next week, and I started doing a bunch of interviews. And then afterwards, I was like, you know what? Maybe I can interview the bands I like.
Oh, and nice.
Then I turned into this whole channel just by accident.
That's a great origin story. Well, let's take a look at a little bit of. I just cut together a couple clips of some recent interviews. So let's take a look for those of you who want to see the product.
We had to start from ground zero because just the reputation was completely tarnished from the last project that these guys were in. So we kind of had to crawl out of a hole.
Especially, I think with Kaitsu's songs, quite often they mutate a lot during the process, and in the end, there might be some part. It might be the situation where you cannot recognize any of the parts from the original version.
Well, I like the vibe and stuff, the cyberpunk, industrial, how it kicks in, and I was wondering, like, how did you get into that whole style of music too?
Well, I mean, it started a long, long time ago when I was a young lad.
And what are you currently working on? New music?
Kind of. I have a new song about werewolves. I'm gonna play that one later tonight. But otherwise, I have a new album that came out. It's not kind of new, February of last year, called Candy Screams. And aside from that, it's my third album, so I'm working on my fourth.
Awesome. We'll look forward to that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was like, what? Yeah, it's the great thing that you can add the collaborator right on there now, so it just really links up everything that you do. It's pretty sick.
And we're back. So lots of great stuff in there. Gigantic range, like astounding range. Like I keep pretty well within the industrial lane, but you go all over, man. That's pretty awesome. So I'm curious. Like, how much research do you do prior to an interview?
Well, I go look the bands up, of course. I go to
Mhm.
see if they have a band camp, and then I check that out. And then I like to go on YouTube and see if they have music videos, because to me that's important to get a visual, see what the
Oh,
band,
okay, cool.
see how many views they have, what people are saying, interacting, and then I'll see if they have go on their Facebook, see about Twitter, and then just do enough research where I can conduct the interview well enough.
Okay, yeah, you're definitely not going in cold. Like, tell me your band name and shit. Like, okay, cool.
But but I do keep it general because a lot of the bands are kind of underground, and the people watching them don't know the band. So
Okay.
even researching them, it might seem like I don't know about the band because I'm trying to just get the band
okay.
themselves to talk.
Fascinating. All right, yeah, that's a good call. Like, I probably get too nuanced for my own good every now and then. But one thing I have noticed is that every now and then, like, often just kind of a banal question, to use that word again, the answer will just like blow my mind. Like, yo, I'm sitting on my couch in my apartment in Boston. You can't be saying like these universal truths to me. I'm wondering if you can recall any sort of what I call knock you on your ass moments.
Probably when I interviewed Rogue from Crook Shadows, because I'm a big fan of them. So that was really cool for me to just interview them, and just hearing like, how he's trying to make a difference in the world, and how just it was a very inspiring interview, and I left with this great like positive vibe and energy, and I could really feel the energy, and I just remember that was such a fascinating interview.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good call. Like, I talked to him once after a show a billion years ago at Milwaukee, and even then I remember like walking like, yeah, hell yeah, okay, cool, just like little spring in my step. So do you have now we spoke about you like to keep it a little bit more general than even you might know just for uh, audience purposes. Do you have any other like I'm going to use the word tricks for making an interview go well or and on sort of on top of that, does anybody have like is there any tell like does it sort of ever turn for you in your mind and you suddenly go, okay, this interview is going really well. So tricks and a tell.
Well, for the bigger bands I interview, I get into a little more detail because obviously they have a bigger fan base.
Right.
So for the bigger bands, I'm not so general, but mostly the biggest thing I do is try and keep my interviews between 10 and 20 minutes because I want the people to watch the full thing. I notice if they go too long, people might not watch the full interview.
It's true. Like the idea for Space Couch was longer form interviews so we can just babble, but it does get self-indulgent after a while. So I'm looking at more of a 45-minute format. We'll see if we keep to that as opposed to the original hour. And then we'll just keep chopping years. Or, excuse me, we'll keep chopping up minutes down as I grow in years. Cool. All right. So not don't go too long. And is there anything in like an interview or a guest's inflection or something like that that you notice change when an interview is going well, or is it just sort of a general feeling in terms of the answers you're getting?
I mean, I've had most of my interviews go well, actually.
Cool.
I would say OTEP was definitely the most difficult because she's
Okay.
crazy. But I noticed towards the end of the interview, she definitely opened up more.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
notice that too. Like in the last 5 minutes of the episode, somebody would be like, and I never knew my dad growing up, and whoa, whoa, whoa. Anyway, let's examine that shit. So awesome interviewing OTEP. Um, but B, yeah, your interviews are always fun. Like I enjoyed. It was a treat for me in the highlight reel. There we saw both Jen Cab, who's a personal friend, and Jesso Lantern, who I kind of know, but I never knew really what she looked like 'cause we hung out all weekend at Dragon Con. But of course, you got to be masked up like 6 ways to Sunday from there. So I really never saw her face before your interview. So thank you for that. Um, what is having done? I know you've interviewed me in person and have since wildly successfully moved into the what I call the coronaverse. You know, awesome Zoom interviews that we just saw. Aesthetic perfection and so forth, all in there. Um, Either in the technological sphere or just the craft itself. What's something that you know now that you wish you knew when you started, or even a few years ago?
Well, I kind of wish I started doing the Skype interviews the whole time because I realize now with the pandemic, I can talk to artists that are all over the world. Like I'm a big fan of Ashbury Heights, and I
Nice.
got to interview them, and it was really cool because they've never played the United States. So if I didn't do Skype, I would never have gotten
Oh,
interviewed
right.
unless I go out of country. You know what I mean? But the Skype has given me a lot of opportunities to interview bands that are just far away.
Hmm.
So now what I'm doing is I'm combining the in-person and the Skype.
Hmm.
That's what I'm working on now.
Okay. Well, let's actually jump to your. Maybe this is a good opportunity to jump to your illustrious concert resume. Just because um, that's interesting because you're so good at the live person interview, and that has its own challenges. Like a Skype interview generally doesn't have to be cut short for like a sound check or something like that. But you're so good at it that I'm happy that it's not going away. Um, and you go to so many concerts as it is. This is kind of janky, but I couldn't get all this text on the screen, so I just had to screenshot. Oh, my magical space controller broke for a second. We might die. I just had to screenshot Notepad and then scroll through it. You've been to over 1,000 concerts and you've chronicled each one. What you're looking at is a by-year gigography of our guest today. That is crazy. Um, I'm assuming your interview prowess plays into that, but the is that out of like a sense of duty almost to attend so many concerts, or I'm wondering where that drive to see all the shows comes from.
I really just like to see a band live
Yeah.
because you get a whole different idea of a band when you see them live when you're just listening to them. And I kind of wish I started doing these interviews years ago when I was going to all these shows years ago. I could interview so many other bands. But yeah, it's just to see the crowd reaction, the energy,
Cool.
the sound. I'm trying to see almost every band possible.
Well, I mean, you are well on your way. I am, after seeing over 90 gazillion shows, um, do you have any, I'm going to use the word tells again, or insight as to when, like, a band really has their shit together? Like, can you tell even before uh, a song is done? Like, what's your sense of when a band is good as opposed to when they may just be starting out or something like that?
Well, I'll say like a band like Tool, when you see them in concert, CD quality, it's like perfect. So when it sounds like exactly the same, that definitely. And number two, I'd say is like production and the way they can command the crowd and get the crowd into it. And for instance, like Rammstein, like when he's shooting fire on stage and stuff, it is like perfect on each side of the stage. Like the
Oh, okay,
technical
wow.
perfect.
So, like, not only did they get the pyrotechnics down, but there's the presentation of it in synchronicity is there.
Yeah.
Okay, going that extra mile. I dig it. Um, you are going the extra mile yourself, branching off of discovering bands into a band management sort of context.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome and enterprising. Tell us about that.
Well, I just started managing the band Cyborg Amok. They're a post-punk goth dark wave band, and it's a father-son duo.
Oh,
And
nice.
just trying to help them get the word out as best they can.
Well, let's do
Going to be
that. Where are they from?
New Jersey.
All right. Yeah. Not too far away from me here in Boston / space. I haven't figured out how that works yet, but we will check out Cyborg Amok out of Jersey. I had a note here to ask from interviewing a million bands who you think the next to pop is. I'm gonna say Cyborg Amok because you promote them, but I'm wondering if you know anybody else that you feel is like ready to pop.
Well, that's an interesting question because I've called it a couple times. Like three,
Oh, yeah?
4 years ago, I saw Twin Tribes on their first show in New York City, and I was like, I know this
You
band is
know
going
it.
to
You
be
could feel it.
big.
Nice.
Same thing happened with the band Nightclub. I heard them like 6, 7 years ago, and now everyone knows them.
Wow.
So currently, I think a band that has really big potential is Abbey Death. And I
Okay.
say
Oh,
this,
that was our recent guest of Space Couch.
I say that because the festival I went to, the Unconventional Festival in New Jersey last year, a lot of people I talked to were there to see them.
Mm.
So it was like they definitely had like the fan base. They definitely had like people who were interested in seeing them, and their show's amazing. So
Yeah.
I think they have a chance. I'm definitely
Dude, such a good call. Like, not only were you early money on Twin Tribes and Nightclub, but no, I am right there with you. Like, Abbey Death feels like we're gonna be telling people that like they're our friends. I know them in like a second. Just put out a single on Project Records. Super good call. But I can't believe I glazed over this. You there at home can get a taste of that action about what's coming up and make your own determination about what the next thing may or may not be at discoveringbands.com is where you want to go. Also, interviews with Michael Nagy, Discovering Bands. One of those on Facebook. I forget what the URL is. I'm blanking now that I'm on camera, but that happens. Check it out. But discoveringbands.com is you guys remember websites? It's really great. Everything's there, super easy to use. Speaking of discovering bands, you told me something very exciting, and I'm wondering if we can talk about it here on the show. It rhymes with festival. Because,
yeah,
because it's a festival. Tell us about your plan. Your
Well,
vision.
I'd like to make a whole festival out of it, discovering bands. And I posted about it like 6 months ago, and I got a lot of support. I just want to make sure it's done right, planned out. And with COVID, I'm just trying to make sure that if I do it, it doesn't get canceled or postponed. But it does seem like COVID's here to stay, so I guess I should start trying to plan it out.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly, man. Like these festivals that I'm doing coming right up, Resistance in England and Dark Side of the Con are both just sort of like, let's just go. Like you're waiting to like break into traffic and you just fucking go. Like so we'll see how it works out. It really does feel like the coronavirus is here to stay. So discoveringbands.com festival. Where are you in the world, if I may ask?
Central Jersey.
You're in Jersey right now. Okay, cool. So I don't know if you were planning on putting it in Jersey or Would this would be like a live thing? And okay, cool.
Yeah, I would like to do it in Jersey. I mean, probably the first year start kind of small and build it
Mhm.
up. This way it's successful. Don't want to go too big, too fast, or just,
Well,
first year maybe
that
have like
is genius. I mean, Fire Festival or that. Oh God, what was that really fucked up one? Alt Fest, the goth one. Um, yes, I would. It seems to me, having never run a real life festival, that that would be the way to go. So we will definitely keep our ears to the digital ground for that. Most of you watching, I would venture to say 90% are involved in music in some capacity. Anyway, I think my mom counts for about 10% of the audience. So I'm going to say about 90% of you are involved in music. If you're at all interested in seeing, maybe playing, I don't know, let me put words in your mouth, a wonderful festival, just keep your ear to the ground for this, the Discovering Band Festival. Super pumped about that. Um, and this is all, not all, but an important factor in the discoveringbands.com machine appears to be your Patreon. Tell us about your experience with that.
yeah. So basically, it's really one of the only ways to make money because I'm
Hmm.
not monetized by YouTube yet. I have enough subscribers, but the watch time, YouTube makes it very difficult. So I've created
Okay.
this Patreon. And what I do is I do extra questions with each band after the interview. So I got extra questions with
Oh,
the
that's
band.
genius.
Then I also normally post my interviews like a day in advance on my Patreon. And then I do shout outs in my videos to people who support
Mm.
and put their socials in my videos and just like little extra incentives to help get
Mm.
people to join. And then I give them something back because the Patreon helps me, especially for like the live shows. You got gas and then the equipment,
Oh,
the
yeah.
microphone, the batteries, the
Yeah,
whole.
you are a warrior, that's for sure. Where do people go? Patreon.com/.
Yeah, I mean, you can find my Patreon link in every one of my videos. I
Oh, okay.
posted all in the descriptions.
We'll find you
Actually,
on
all,
Patreon for um, wonderful products. I mean, the Finnish death metal to Gesso Lantern to industrial to bands featuring former members of Korn, all over the musical road. Um, I super duper dig it. Speaking of the road, uh, let's not bury this lead. You are only missing 4 states uh, in your hit list of the U.S. Um, I'm curious to know if in your many travels in the U.S. and the world, um, is there a destination that I might not know about you could recommend? And do you have plans to get to those remaining 4 states?
yeah. So right now, I'm only missing Oregon and Washington, and then Alaska and Hawaii. So
Wow,
then I'll hit
cool.
all 50. So the goal is I can hit Washington, Oregon in one trip, and then worry about Alaska and Hawaii in another trip.
There you go. You can get pretty close to Alaska from Seattle. It's Hawaii's a little bit of a tougher putt, but that's pretty great, man. Um, what's like a cool kind of thing that you've seen that you may be able to recommend to our viewers?
Well, a lot of these travels I've actually traveled for different festivals, but
Okay.
I like to go out exploring. I like a website called Atlas Obscura. I don't know
Oh
if you've
yeah,
heard
hell
of it.
yeah.
I use that because it helps me find all like these odd, like weird things to do because I don't like touristy stuff. I
Oh
like to
yeah.
do
Now
down the
Atlas
beach.
Obscura is the best. That's a great call. Um,
And then and then in New Jersey we have something called Weird New Jersey. Have you heard of
okay.
that?
No, no. I mean, I've kind of heard of the Weird series, but not specifically the Jersey one. Any good stuff in there?
Yeah, you got tons of different places. The viaduct. You got like the gravity roads, the
What's the
Devil's
gravity
Tree.
roads?
It's like a illusion where your car actually moves up the road the opposite way.
Cool.
But yeah, a lot of the states have a weird book, and then they have weird
Yeah.
U.S.
Totally, totally. No, I'm going through the Boston one a little bit. We're sort of knocking off weird little things. There's a lot we got to get through yet, but no, I've planned like days around Alice Obscura. Like I didn't know there were like Civil War forts out here and shit. That's amazing. So great call on Atlas Obscura. Let's get you out to um, Oregon and Washington. A little digital bird told me there is a banging industrial festival going on in Seattle this year. Um, certain bands might be playing, certain bands, and so the point of that is, if you're looking for an industrial excuse to go to Seattle, I would put that down. But I'm a big fan of both of those. I don't know that much about Portland. We played there once in a drag club, and it was cool, but we had to fight for mirror space with the drag queens, and I loved it. The
Well, I'll end up seeing you at Dark Side of the Con because I'm
Oh,
going
you're
to be
going to
going.
Dark Side of the Con. That is in Parsippany, New Jersey. I didn't put that together. Oh, that's going to be great.
I
Oh, that's
can't
going to
wait.
be awesome. Abby Death
That's
playing
actually,
that too.
yeah, Abbey Death, and that's actually kind of the structure. Eventually, I'd like to see if I could build up my festival. The
Okay.
hotel festival vibe is so awesome. Just being in the hotel with the bands, different.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Because I've done like cons and stuff, but I've not done like a real industrial con. Like Wicked Fair in Princeton was like along that road, but definitely in like the con sort of lane. Like I think me and Brian from Cenotype opened up for a panel on like boffer weapons or something like that when we played Wicked Fair. It was cool. So that would be a great model. Would be widely looking forward to the Discovering Festival. I don't know, whatever you decide to call it. Nagstock. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll workshop a couple names. Um, so if we were to design discoveringbands.com, the video game, sort of a staple question here on Space Couch. What do you think? Sort of like a dating sim, like those with those, but like not sexy, but like interview style, or like would you sort of like blast the coronavirus like Galaga style? Like what do you think would be a good premise for a Discovering Bands video game?
that's such a unique question, actually. Probably blasting the coronavirus away because
Yeah.
it's just annoying. It's hard to plan for the future right now, and like even though there's live shows right now, it's still hard for like bands internationally to travel, and
Dude,
it's
it's
yeah.
brutal. And then like the flight gets canceled, and then they say like they're gonna give you a refund, but I don't know. And then you forget about it, and then there's like I guess that was $793. I'm not getting back, or whatever it is.
And
Uh,
plus, and with times like this now, not everyone wants to do an interview in person.
hmm And
Everything going
safety
on.
is of course I went right to money, but yeah, I forgot about safety. The yeah, it's you know let's blast that coronavirus. And let's see. You would have to. You could use a mic, but like Castlevania style, like whip it out. There you go. And
That's funny because that's actually one of my favorite games, Castlevania.
nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I really dug that animated series. It got really weird, which I like. Um, and yeah. Do you have a favorite of the Castlevania games? Just out of curiosity. I know, I'm putting you on the spot.
I've played them all.
Cool.
Well, speaking of the anime series, that was one of the best anime series I think I've
So
seen.
good.
Like they did that so well. But I don't know. I like the 64 ones a lot. I
Hell
don't
yeah.
know. I
Oh,
like
the few, the proud. Most people
yeah.
go Super Nintendo, but that's awesome. I'm glad I asked. A vote for the underrated 64 games. Um, right. So, uh, anything you want to plug sort of coming up? I know we talked about this festival that's sort of, don't let me put words in your mouth, but it feels like that's on the back burner, or at least is that moving to like the middle burner?
I'm probably in the middle burner. Like
Middle
I've
burner,
been
and then
getting past the winter with the virus and spikes
yeah,
going down. It's
it's
hard to plan.
this
But
forgot the coronavirus.
yeah, but coming up, I'm going to be doing an interview with Aya Toya for her East Coast tour, so that'll be exciting.
Oh yeah, she is blowing up right now. So yes, looking forward to that. Because I don't really have a sense of her, but I see the name.
I can. That's another artist I can see definitely blowing up in the
Totally,
future too, because
totally.
she works really hard. She works her ass off, and her
Yeah.
videos are amazing.
Great, great. Well, Ayatoya coming up on Discovering Bands. We will be looking forward to that. Possibly
In a few weeks.
festival in a few weeks. I will be looking. Speaking of festivals, will be looking forward to seeing you personally at Dark Side of the Con. We'll be
We
doing.
can do another follow-up interview at the
Hell
con.
yeah! Well, if you want to, we'll be doing Space Couch with Red Locust. But if you want to storm the stage like Beastie Boys style or something, that'd be cool. So we're gonna check out Atlas Obscura when we travel, and in your area, you'll find something. It's so great. Um, we will be sure that when we're coordinating our mouth breathing fire pyrotechnics, we do them in sync, in stereo from the side of the stage, and uh, I will consider just broader based questions. I shied away from them in the future, or excuse me, in the past, I meant to say. All this time traveling we're doing today on Space Couch is screwing up my internal clock. But it was my goal for the show, at least initially, was like, I'm going to take you into the green room. Because, like, I kind of know, like, we all know everybody now at this point. But I hadn't considered, like, the My Mom viewer or something like that, who just you might not know who
Well,
a 723 is. What's that?
I find the general questions actually get the band to open up more. It gets them
Mhm.
talking more. That's
Okay.
why I like it. Especially, it's like when you
Right.
start off and say, "Give us a little history about the band." It gets them. It's not like a pinpoint. Like you're not like
You soften
this.
them up with a few body blows before going in for that full right cross.
Yeah, and then it gives the person watching, because a lot of these bands
Mhm.
are kind of new to them, so then they can get like kind of the general stuff, and then they can go look up the band more. But obviously, when bands are like more well known and stuff, you have to ask more specific questions, because you have like fans. Like when I interviewed Static X, I got to get like in-depth questions because they got a fan base,
Man,
a big fan base. That's what I mean.
that's pretty crazy. Like, I mean, I don't mean to take it to a somber note, but I'm curious. So, like, when you interview someone and you kind of get to know them a bit, and then it's like, oh shit, Wayne Static died. Like, does that? What does that do? Like, at least I got to have that time, sort of thing. Like, I
Well,
would imagine.
I interviewed them after Wayne passed.
Oh, really?
Because they
Okay.
do, because they're still playing. They're doing their.
Okay, I made the equivocation of Static X and Wayne Static, but
Yeah,
there's the band, but he'd gone. But okay, understood.
yeah, they continued on as a memorial for him. So,
Okay,
but
well,
I mean, I really to talk to Wayne because I'm a fan of him. But it was just cool to sit down with the band.
very
Anyways,
cool. And you archive everything, and we can all find that at discoveringbands.com, and which we will do. Michael, we are on a rogue flight path out here in space, and I'm gonna bring this flying couch back on into the station. Anything you want to leave with our viewers here at Space Couch?
well, I mean, the Patreon would help because I'm trying to do
Great.
this full time actually because I work a full time job and do this, so it's a lot because I get so many interview requests now. I can't even keep up with all the bands, so I kind of have to pick different bands, and I'd like to be able to do more interviews than I even do right now.
Oh, that's great. Let's help you do that. We're gonna find you on Patreon. It's is it Discovering Bands on Patreon?
Yeah.
Okay, Discovering Bands on Patreon. We'll check that out. Personally, thank you so much for kind of providing a template here for all these interview shows we got now, Static TV, and the upcoming.
Also, just so people know, I also have another interview channel I started recently called Various Interviews by Michael Nagy, and I'm interviewing all other public figures because I've had a lot of offers over the years that didn't fit my channel.
Sure.
So now I'm interviewing, like I did an interview with a brewery. I've done some adult porn stars. I've done some authors. If you want to see some other interesting content, then I do it on the side.
Awesome.
And it's cool because people go to that channel and I link the band channel to it and it brings in more audience. So it's like
Synergy, this guy. So, I mean, if you like a pretty decent interview product, I think Space Couch will fill that niche. But if you want to say the master does it, you want to check out discoveringbands.com and various interviews with Michael Nagy. The dude is a machine. So this is Brian for Space Couch, for Michael for discoveringbands.com saying, call the spaceships to Davenport, prepare for Divanarchy, and interface with a couch in space. Space Couch. Ow! Out! Yes. Okay, so I don't know if you can still hear me. It might cut our audio. But
yeah, I can hear you.
all right, cool. Yeah, I got my own Patreon sponsors in the credit of the show here. But maybe I'll move those up. I do like your shout out idea. I hope I'm not getting my wonderful patrons short here at the end, but we'll just